When was the last time you experienced true silence? I am not speaking of the absence of sound, I am speaking of a silence of the mind, a moment, an hour, where your focus was a clean, single line, pointed like an arrow at one chosen task, undisturbed and unbroken. For most, such a state feels like a distant memory, or a myth, that our modern world is a masterpiece of noise. We have built a civilization that is perpetually on buzzing, beeping, notifying, demanding, and in doing so, we have fractured the most powerful tool we possess, our attention. We live in a state of constant, low-grade emergency, jumping from email to message to headline. We feel busy, we feel productive, but this is an illusion. We are not hunters, moving with purpose. We are the hunted, constantly reacting to the next digital predator that flashes across our screen. This endless noise has a cost. It robs us of depth. It replaces wisdom with information and mastery with mediocrity. It leaves us feeling drained, anxious, and strangely empty, as if we have run all day but have gone nowhere. But what if you could reclaim your focus? What if you could build an unshakable sanctuary of silence within yourself, a place from which you could engage with the world with clarity, power, and purpose? This is not a fantasy, it is a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. Today, I will not share with you mere productivity tips. I will share with you a protocol, the silence protocol. And our first step is to correctly diagnose the enemy. To protect your focus, you must first understand what you are protecting it from. The enemy is not your phone. It is not your email. Those are merely the weapons. The true enemy is the noise they generate, and this noise comes in three forms. First, there is the external noise. This is the most obvious form, the endless notifications, the breaking news alerts, the constant stream of social media updates. Each one is a small paper cut to your attention. A single cut is harmless, but 1,000 cuts will leave you bleeding focus. These systems are designed by some of the brightest minds in the world with one goal: to capture and hold your attention. They are engineered for addiction, and they are winning the war for your mind. Second, there is the information noise. This is the noise of consumption, the endless articles, podcasts, and videos we consume, believing we are learning and growing. But without space for reflection, this information does not become knowledge. It becomes clutter. Your mind becomes a library where thousands of books are thrown onto the floor, but none are ever read. You know a little about everything, but you understand nothing deeply. And third, the most dangerous of all, there is the internal noise. This is the endless chatter of your own mind, the anxieties about the future, the regrets about the past, the self-criticism, the planning, the worrying. Even if you were to unplug from all technology and sit in a quiet room, this is the noise that would follow you. It is the ghost that haunts the fortress of your mind. These three layers of noise work together, creating a perfect storm that makes deep focus almost impossible. And science now has a name for the cognitive damage this storm inflicts. Dr. Sophie Leroy, a business professor at the University of Washington, published groundbreaking research in 2009 that identified a phenomenon she calls attention residue. Her experiments showed that when you switch from one task to another, say, from writing a report to quickly checking an email, a part of your attention, a residue, stays stuck on the previous task. You are now trying to focus on the new task, but a portion of your cognitive resources is still thinking about the email you just read. Think of it like this. Imagine your focus is a jar of clean water. Every time you switch tasks, you have to pour that water into a new jar. But no matter how carefully you pour, a few drops are always left behind. The more you switch, the less water, the less focus you have available for what is truly important. This is why, at the end of a day spent multitasking, you feel exhausted but have accomplished little of value. Your cognitive energy has been bled dry, not by hard work, but by the 1,000 tiny switches you were forced to make. The constant noise of our world is not just distracting you, it is scientifically diminishing your intellectual capacity in real time. Understanding this is the first step. You are not weak or undisciplined. You are fighting a system, both external and internal, that is designed to fracture your attention. To win this fight, you don't need more willpower. You need a better strategy. You need a protocol. And the foundation of that protocol begins with building a place where the noise cannot reach. We have diagnosed the enemy. We see the 1,000 cuts of external noise, the clutter of information noise, and the relentless storm of our own internal noise. We understand that this chaos creates a tension residue, leaving our minds fractured and weak. So, what is the antidote? How do we fight this invisible enemy? The answer is the foundation of the silence protocol, and it may seem counterintuitive. To defeat the noise, you do not add more. You do not need a new app, a new system, or a new piece of technology. You need less. The antidote to noise is not a sound, but a space. In the Western world, the word emptiness often has a negative meaning. It suggests a void, a lack, something that must be filled. But in the Shaolin tradition, which is built upon the wisdom of Chan Buddhism, emptiness is not a void. It is a state of pure potential. A cup is only useful because it is empty. A room is only useful because of its empty space. A bowstring can only launch an arrow because of the empty space created when it is drawn back. In the same way, the mind is only at its most powerful when it has cultivated moments of inner emptiness, of true silence. This is the sanctuary we must build. A space free from the constant need to process, react, and consume. We have been taught that a busy mind is a productive mind, but this is a profound misunderstanding. A mind that is always busy is like a farmer who is always sowing seeds but never allows the time for them to grow. There is much activity, but there is no harvest. The true harvest of the mind, deep insight, creativity, and wisdom does not grow in the noise of constant input. It grows in the silent, fertile ground of an empty space. This is where connections are made, where ideas are born, and where clarity emerges. This ancient wisdom, understood by masters for centuries, is now being validated by modern neuroscience in the most incredible way. For many years, neuroscientists studying the brain with fMRI scanners were puzzled by a specific phenomenon. When a person was not focused on any particular task, when they were simply resting and letting their mind wander, a specific network of brain regions became highly active. For a long time, scientists dismissed this as mere background noise. But in the early 2000s, a neurologist named Dr. Marcus Reichel at the Washington University School of Medicine gave this network a name and a purpose. He called it the default mode network, or DMN. He discovered that this network is the brain's idle state, but it is far from inactive. The DMN is what your brain defaults to when you are not actively focused on the outside world. And what does it do in this state? It performs some of the most important work of all. It processes memories. It contemplates the future. It engages in self-reflection. And, most importantly, it connects disparate ideas to generate creative insights. Think of your brain as a vast library. Your focused, active mind is the librarian at the front desk, frantically taking in new books, information that people bring through the door. As long as there is a line of people, the librarian can only stack the books. But when the line disappears, when the door closes and there is silence, the default mode network activates. The librarian can now walk through the stacks, read the new books, and suddenly realize that a paragraph in one book connects perfectly to a chapter in another book on a completely different shelf. This connection is a new idea, a creative breakthrough. Our world of constant noise never lets the line at the library disappear. We are so afraid of being unproductive that we never give our brain the empty space it needs to activate its most creative and insightful network. We are constantly feeding the librarian at the desk, while the true wisdom lies in the silence of the stacks. The silence protocol is the practice of intentionally creating this empty space. It is the art of closing the door to the library for a chosen period of time, allowing the master librarian within your mind to do its profound work. Now that we understand why this inner sanctuary is so crucial, we must learn how to build it. We must learn the practical tools to push back against the noise and carve out these sacred moments of silence. We have diagnosed the noise. We understand the profound power of creating an inner sanctuary of empty space, the fertile ground where our brain's default mode network does its most brilliant work. We have the philosophy. Now, we need the practice. This is the heart of the silence protocol. It is not a list of vague ideas, but a set of sharp, practical tools. This is how you begin to build the walls of your sanctuary and push back against the noise. We will focus on 3 tools. Each one is simple to understand, but powerful in its application. They are designed to combat the 3 layers of noise we identified: the external, the informational, and the internal. Tool number 1, the intentional digital fast. You cannot find silence in a room where 1,000 voices are screaming for your attention. Your phone, your computer, these are those voices. To control the noise, you must first control the source. This tool is about creating intentional periods of disconnection. It is not about abandoning technology. It is about moving from a relationship of passive reaction to one of conscious command. Start with this simple, non-negotiable rule, the first hour, last hour rule. For the first hour after you wake up, and for the last hour before you go to sleep, your phone and computer do not exist. Do not touch them. In the morning, this protects your mind when it is most impressionable. Instead of flooding it with the emergencies, opinions, and anxieties of the outside world, you give it space. You allow your own thoughts, your own priorities, to be the first thing you engage with. You start the day in control. Before sleep, this allows your brain to power down. The blue light from screens disrupts melatonin production, harming your sleep. But more importantly, the information noise activates your mind, leading to anxiety and restless nights. By fasting from it, you are telling your mind and body that the day is done. You are creating the necessary silence for deep rest and recovery. Tool number 2, the single tasking ritual. The greatest lie of the modern world is that multitasking is a strength. The greatest lie of the modern world is that multitasking is a strength. As we learned from the science of attention residue, it is the most effective way to bleed your cognitive energy with nothing to show for it. The antidote is the deep, immersive practice of single tasking. We will not treat this as a productivity hack. We will treat it as a sacred ritual. Here is the ritual. First, choose your most important task of the day. 1. Second, prepare your sanctuary. This means eliminating all possible distractions. Close every tab on your computer that is not related to the task. Silence your phone and, most importantly, move it to another room, out of sight. Third, set a timer. 50 minutes. 50. Fourth, for those 50 minutes, you do one thing and one thing only. You work on your chosen task. When your mind wanders, and it will gently guide it back. When the urge to check your phone arises, simply notice it and let it pass. For 50 minutes, you are a master craftsman, focused on a single piece of work. When the timer rings, you rest for 10 minutes. Then, you can go again. This ritual is the gateway to an extraordinary state of consciousness. The renowned psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi dedicated his life to studying the state of peak human performance and happiness. He gave it a name, flow. Flow is the state of being so completely absorbed in an activity that everything else disappears. Your sense of time distorts. Your inner critic goes silent. Your actions and awareness merge. You are performing at your absolute best, and it feels effortless. The single tasking ritual is the scientifically proven method for creating the conditions for flow. And the benefits are almost beyond belief. A famous 10-year study by McKinsey & Company found that top executives were up to 500% more productive when they were in a state of flow. That is not a 50% improvement, it is 5 times more effective. An entire week's worth of average work can be accomplished in a single day of deep, uninterrupted focus. By practicing this ritual, you are not just getting more done, you are accessing the most powerful and joyful state your mind can experience. Tool number 3, the shield of the conscious no. You can control your devices and your tasks, but what about the noise from other people? The requests, the demands, the quick questions that shatter your focus? To protect your sanctuary, you must learn to guard the gate. This tool is the shield of the conscious no. Every time you say yes to something, you are silently saying no to something else. A yes to an unimportant meeting is a no to an hour of deep work. A yes to a random request is a no to your own priorities. We are afraid to say no because we fear conflict or disappointing others. But you must reframe this in your mind. A conscious no is not an act of rejection. It is an act of profound self-respect. It is a declaration that your focus, your energy, and your time are valuable. You do not need to be rude. You only need to be clear. Use simple, honest language. Thank you for this opportunity, but I cannot give it the attention it deserves right now. Or, my focus is fully committed to another priority at the moment. The shield of no is your defense against the world that will consume your focus if you let it. Use it wisely, use it respectfully, and use it to protect what matters most. You have been given the tools of the protocol, the digital fast to guard your mornings and nights, the single tasking ritual to access the profound state of flow, the shield of the conscious no to protect your sacred boundaries. But tools by themselves are not enough. A person may own the finest sword in the world, but this does not make them a master. Mastery is not in the having, but in the being. The final step of the protocol is to move from practicing silence to becoming silence. The ultimate goal of this practice is not to build a fortress so you can hide from the world. A true master does not run from the storm, they learn to be the calm eye within it. The goal is to cultivate an inner sanctuary so deep and so stable that you can carry it with you out into the noisy world. Think of it this way: a small boat is tossed about by every wave. A great ship, however, moves through the very same turbulent water with stability and purpose, because its own center of gravity is so profound. The tools of the protocol are how you build your ship. Living the protocol is how you learn to sail it. This means you stop seeing noise as the enemy and you start seeing it as the practice. Every notification that buzzes in your pocket is not a failure, it is an opportunity to practice returning to your center. Every urge to open a new tab is not a weakness, it is a chance to strengthen your resolve. Every request that tries to steal your focus is not an interruption, it is a sparring partner sent to test the integrity of your shield. You begin to live with an unshakable confidence that your inner state is determined not by the chaos outside, but by the order you have cultivated within. You can be in a crowded room and still feel the silence of your sanctuary. You can be facing a storm of demands and still feel the stability of your anchor. This is the shift from a life of frantic reaction to a life of intentional action. You no longer let the world dictate your attention. You decide, with absolute clarity, where the priceless resource of your focus will be placed, and in doing so, you reclaim not just your productivity, but your life itself. We began this journey diagnosed with a modern disease, a fractured mind, bled dry by the thousand cuts of constant noise. We were drowning in a sea of information while starving for a drop of wisdom. We learned that the antidote was not more, but less. We discovered the profound power of empty space, the inner sanctuary where our mind does its most brilliant work. And we were given the tools to build this sanctuary. The fast, the ritual, the shield, the weapons to fight for our focus. But this journey was never truly about fighting the noise. It was about remembering the value of our own silence. The noise of the world wants you to live a shallow life, a life of skimming the surface, of knowing a little about everything and feeling nothing deeply, a life of constant motion but no direction. The silence within you is the gateway to a deep life, a life of mastery, of meaning, of purpose. It is the only place where you can hear your own voice, separate from the roar of the crowd. So, the next time you feel it, that pull of distraction, that urge to switch tasks, that siren song of a new notification, I want you to pause. And instead of labeling it a distraction, I want you to see it for its true nature, a test of your devotion. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. You are the architect of your focus. You are the master of your silence. The noise you feel is the resistance that strengthens your resolve. You were never meant to be a leaf blown about by the winds of the world. You were designed, from your core, to be the calm center of the storm. The distractions of your life are not your enemies. They are your training partners, sent to awaken the master within you. The question is no longer what you will do to get rid of the noise. The question is, what great and worthy purpose will you choose to honor with the profound power of your focus today? Gratitude.